Hello everyone and welcome to my long-term review of BMW M140i. This is my Shadow Edition. It's been months since I've done my last video. The reason for that being that last year for 7.5 months of it I was on furlough, and basically the car was parked up on the drive, taken out for a run every now and again. Very lucky to feel lucky to still have the car. I must have applied for 200 jobs at least, and luckily enough I got another one. I did put the car up for sale on a trade auction site, but because it was modified so much, luckily it didn't sell. I'd left my private number on it and everything. I just thought I need to get rid of it, these are the things that I need to concentrate on. Well, mainly surviving. Yeah, it didn't sell, so now I had the car put back to standard to get more money for it, and as I applied for all those jobs and just got the car back from being put back to standard, and I got another job. So I was very grateful of that, and the fact that I was now down like 130 horsepower. It wasn't the end of the world. So what I'll do, I'll just go out for a drive over the moors and tell you what the experience has been like of owning this car. It's coming up for 2 years, yeah, I'll give you the best impression of it that I can. One thing I would just say before I start the review is that the car is still in great shape. I mean, this is my daily driver, but it's still in excellent condition. I've bought some new cleaning products over Christmas and everything and done it, but it's just such a comfy cabin. I've wrapped the part of the dash there and the door handles and things. I've got the Pro Nav. Obviously it comes with Harman Kardon standard. I've got the automatic headlights. What else have I got? Or cruise control, I think that was standard, I can't remember. But yeah, it's a really nice comfy cockpit. I mean, obviously you've got the paddle shift here, so that's fun if you put it into manual mode. You've got launch control. There's so many gadgets I'm still discovering about the car, but basically I just drive it. But yeah, I just wanted to show you the condition of the car, how it's laid out and everything. It's a nice bit of kit. Since October I've changed a few things on the car. I've put the mirror caps to gloss black. If you saw one of my other videos, I wrapped them in carbon. It was a matte carbon, it didn't look right, so I took it off again, but now they're into gloss black. I think it looks a lot better. And the wrap that I put onto the canards, I've taken that off and they're now gloss black as well. I just think it just matches the car. It just looks so much better now, with everything matching the grille as it should be, like in gloss. Do need to get those leaves out, it's clogged right up. But yeah, the other thing I did, I added wheel spacers, 15 and 12, so 12 on the front, 15 on the back. And at some point, probably later in the year, I'll get the stance kit for it as well. I'm not going to get the stance plus, it'll just be the stance, and that really is all I've done to it, and not really got any other plans. I've got too many other things going on at the minute, so that'll be all that I do. Going to start the review from the first day that I picked the car up and I drove it, and it was a wow factor right from the start, and that was just starting the engine. I mean, the B58 3 litre straight 6 in this car is just excellent, awesome sounding engine. And I was also surprised at how quick it was. You put your foot down and it just went. The sound is just the sound inside the car. It was just everything about it. I mean, I nearly rear-ended a car going down onto the dual carriageway just because it accelerated so fast. But I went out for quite a good drive, and they didn't tell me to run it in, so I didn't. But the one thing that you did notice straight away, and a lot of people talk about this car, about the M140, is the wallowing that you get when you go into a corner. So like coming up to a corner now, and you turn into it, and you turn in, and then the car would follow, and that was not a very uneasy feeling, but it didn't leave you feeling that you was in complete control and you was getting the feedback that you wanted from the car. I mean, you know, something like this with a 3-litre engine in it, sort of power it had, then you know, BMW should have addressed all of that with something like this. So basically they've done it for comfort, but you don't put a 340 horsepower engine in a car that you want for comfort. You know, they should have still addressed the fact that this car is fast, is pretty quick. So that was the one thing where BMW let themselves down with this car. As I'll show you later, you can stiffen the chassis up for a relatively small amount of money, like £200, and that is the first mod that you should do if you're thinking of buying an M140i. You've got an M140i, then that is top of the list, because to put you in control, or the feeling of control back in the car, is transforms it. You know, I'll mention it. So it just gives you such good feedback, gives you so much confidence. So that's the one thing that for me let the car down. Apart from that, it's been brilliant. You know, I've enjoyed every minute of it. I still enjoy every minute of it. It's economical. You know, I've heard people go, oh, it's not an economical car. I mentioned this before. It's 3-litre straight 6. It is economical. In Eco Pro, you can get 40 to the gallon on the motorway. And I had a 218i Coupe with the 1.5 engine in it, and that could only achieve 40 to the gallon on the motorway as well. So you tell me that this isn't an economical, you know, this isn't an economical. Big plus with the M140i is the 8-speed semi-automatic gearbox. It is excellent, absolutely excellent. It shifts really fast, it's smooth. They've got all the ratios just right, the way it pulls up through the gears. Obviously you've got the paddle shift as well with manual. I've been round Mallory Park these were all automatics, went round in a Ferrari, Aston Martin Vantage, Audi R8, can even include the McLaren if I want to, because to compare it against this car, and the other one was the Nissan GTR, and that was a good car. It's excellent. You know, that was the only thing comparable to this on that day. The Ferrari was so slow at changing gear. It just lacked the grunt. You know, when people talk about Ferraris, it was big it up. Didn't do anything for me at all. The worst car of that day was the Aston Martin Vantage, 150 grand car, and when that was changing gear, it was like you had time to go and make a cup of tea. It was so slow, it was unbelievable. You know, 150 grand, this would leave it for dead, it really would. While we're talking about performance cars as well, I mean, I had the stage 2, I did go up to stage 2 on this, which was 475 brake. I set it up properly, you know, to get that kind of power. And again, for the money for this car and the tuning and the map, you know, that's available for it, I mean, over here we're seeing 700 horsepower. You can get like 700 plus horsepower. You got to spend like sort of $6.5 grand to get it. But with them now putting it into the Toyota Supra, they've actually developed the engine, the B58, and they're now getting over 1,000 horsepower from it. You know, just because of the way that the engine is designed and the way that it's been built. I mean, 1,000 horsepower. I don't know how much it costs you to get to that amount of power, but if you consider that a 2019 one of these with sensible mileage, it cost you say 26,000. It's already had quite a lot of depreciation in that time, and I'd say a 2017 for around 17,000, and then you add on, if you wanted that kind of power, which is absolutely ballistic. You know, I know what 470 horsepower is like. You know, you talk is 700, then value for money and pound for pound, you couldn't beat this car. I don't see how you could beat this car. You're right, yeah, you've got to tune it, but BMW didn't build it for the power. It was more, you know, it was different to the M2. I didn't want the M2 purely because I didn't want I like the aggressive look of the M2, but basically it's exactly the same as my 1 Series inside, and for another 20 odd grand, whatever it was, I just didn't see the point. And you can get the M2 style front bumper for this car. Somebody's doing it for like £400 now, so it's $399. So I have thought about it, that you could put the M2 style front bumper onto this car, and so one, I'd have the looks and I'd have the performance, and with the bracelet chassis, you know, then you're going to get the handling as well. I mean, like I said, the adaptive suspension on this car is excellent. The way it changes through the modes, it's superb. So the only reason I'm not putting my foot down in it is because I'm out on the moors and it's only a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit, and you do need to stick to it because you see dead horses all over the place, sheep. Right, back to the chassis bracing. Don't get me wrong, the suspension on this car, the adaptive suspension on this is excellent. I mean, I love it. I get such a comfy ride, but you can also stiffen the suspension up, which is better, believe, than what was on the first cars in 2017, where you didn't have the adaptive suspension. This is a John brace, JOM, which is adjustable, which is what I wanted. I didn't want a fixed brace because if it didn't fit properly, you know, if it's exactly the right size, then technically it could be under tension, and I believe that these plates could technically have moved underneath the bolts, because you would have had to have had slots in these plates to make it fit if there's any deviation in the build in the car. So as you can see, the top mounts went on perfectly, and you can see that these weren't the most expensive ones. You might see the marks in there, you know, a bit of lack of care in making them, but the top mounts went on really well. There was not a problem in fitting that. But when I came to fit the bar, the brace itself, it didn't fit. It was too long, and obviously you couldn't get it in between because it was probably 6 mil, something like that, maybe a bit more. So I mentioned that to J Speed, who I bought it from, and they said to me, have I bought it for the right car? And it does fit, 100% it does fit. And
basically I didn't bother replying because I know what car I own and it should have fitted. So all I did was to shorten this bar by the 6mm that was required, and then it went in. And as you can see, I also had to just nick the cover here because obviously it wouldn't push that down far enough to get it in. And then the other thing that I have ordered, it hasn't arrived yet, but I will do in the next week or so, is the underbody bracing kit, and that'll be the next thing that I shall add.
I recently had the first service carried out on the car. I had it done by BMW. Looks like we've had more snow up here, isn't it? Yeah, we've had more snow here. But yeah, I went to BMW because people like it to have the dealer service history. It cost £300. That was just oil and filter. And they had a quick look over it to do a little check. But when the next service comes up, which is in like another 2 years, I will do it myself, or I will get the local garage that I go to that are excellent, because BMW wants £750 for that next service, and basically it's just overpriced parts, because you need 6.5 litres of oil in it, which is £24 a litre. Obviously you've got 6 spark plugs. BMW want £40 each for them. And then again you've got your micro filter, as they call it, which is your pollen filter, and £700. It's just, I don't get it. It's just like, why rip you off? But I mean, that's not just BMW, everybody does it. You know, Fords do it. You can, just for the fact that a lot of people want the dealer history. But like I said, I want to keep this car. I don't intend on selling it. So I will do the next one myself, and I will use the same grade, same quality standard of part. But I'm not going to pay £700 BMW to do it, to change the oil and some spark plugs. It's just ridiculous. That's probably your one major expense, because it is every 2 years that you do the servicing on 19,000 miles. One other thing I noticed on the internet as well is on one video that I watched, is that somebody said that this car had become a bit boring to drive, and I'm like, mate, what are you on about? It's like, there's nothing boring about this car. And if you've got 400 plus horsepower, let alone the standard 340, if you've got 400 plus horsepower, potential to take it to 700, 500, whatever you want, this is not a boring car to drive. If you can drive this down the country lanes, stick to the speed limit. But obviously with that amount of power, and you think it's boring, I think you've missed something somewhere. But yeah, that's just me. I don't find this car boring at all. Start it up, and you just get that. It's just such a fantastic car to drive. There's not many cars that I've had, or there aren't any cars that I've had, that give you the pleasure of driving that this does. I mean, well, back in the day with 3-door Cosworth, getting that sideways in a junction, something like that, yeah, that was exciting. But as I've said, pound for pound, this car really does take some beating. I do believe that this car also is a modern classic. They stopped producing it. They didn't make it after 2019. BMW won't be using they will using like the 340i, and they still use the B58 engine. But in the 1 Series, you will never get a 3 litre in it again. So it's already got that modern classic car about it, and it's got a massive following. I mean, you're looking at this and you've searched anything about the M140i on YouTube, it's like thousands and thousands of videos. There's loads on the BIMA coding and the Carly app. You know, it's not something I'm particularly interested in. If I was going to do anything with that, I'd just get it so that the stop-start was switched off. So every time I come to the traffic lights or something, the engine doesn't stop, especially if you're in town or something. You don't want it to stop-start continuously. And the other thing I might have done was put the rear lights on, just when you're in driving mode. It's just nice that if the front ones are on, why not have the back ones on? But that's all that I would change. And obviously the other thing that's on the internet is just a wash with tuning devices, you know, piggyback systems. You know, you can actually get something a bit like flashing and download the map into the car yourself. But I really, you know, I said this in a video a long time ago, I don't recommend it. The simple fact is that that map that you're putting in the car, you have no idea where it's come from unless you know the person that did the map. You know they did it on the rolling road, and you know that it's a good map. So I am going to get this stage 1 again, and I can do that with them, but I'm probably going to go down on get it on the rolling road. But my advice is, get your car, if you're going to map it, get it done on the rolling road, because it needs to be done right. Don't put anything off the internet in your car. People will be looking, shouting at the thing now, saying, "Oh, I'm a dickhead" or something, but it's true. You know, I used to do the mapping on the R1s, which was flash tuning, and somebody needs to be at the dyno looking at the power graph, and they'll know, looking at that graph, where the fueling is needs correcting. So normally you'll see like a blip in the line, and that's where it needs addressing. And stage 1 I had from RH tuning in Plymouth, we won't put my stage 1 back in because someone else put my car back to standard. That map that was done on the dyno, but it's got a blip in it, and it's something I've thought about for a while. You know, I wasn't happy with it to start with. Maybe I should have said something, but yeah. So if you was the map off the internet, such as flash tuning, anyone can do anything on there. And when you was doing the bikes, there'd be a map come up and says, "Oh, you must try this map, it's ballistic, it's like the best thing since sliced bread." But the one thing is that people don't understand, well, a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't, is that when they're going to make their own map on the computer using the flash tube, is that they think that lots of red squares equals lots of power. You know, you cannot throw gallons of fuel through the injectors and hope that you're going to get mega power, because you're not. It doesn't work like that. The only thing that a map like that is going to do is destroy your engine, purely for the fact of the amount of fuel that it's throwing down it. I mean, you're going to get more wash for a start. You know, it has to be done right. And Steve, who used to come down to the dyno with me with the bikes, he could look at a map and he knew exactly what to do, how much fuel to give it or not give it, and it's just got phenomenal power. I mean, like the maps that I was doing, people didn't believe the power that we could get, but it's purely the fact that he knew what he was doing. I mean, I have done a little video about tuning the cars back in the day, but it's all like carburetors and skimming heads, porting and flywheels, lightning and things like that, which people aren't interested in anymore. I understand that, because it's so easy to get one of these cars tuned. So to sum up, would I buy this car again? And bearing in mind that I was loyal Ford RS van up until the Escort Cosworth. That really, I never really took to that. I never had one. I never took to it though. It's a bit like this 1 Series, just didn't grow on me, you know. And the interior is just wasn't. There's just something missing. Maybe that's just me, but I love the 3 doors. I love the Mark 1 Escort RSs, Mark 2 RSs. But would I buy another M140i? 100% yes. If I had sold this last year, and then now I'm in the position I'm in again now, where I've got another job, this would be the first car that I would go and I'd look to go and buy again. And that's after I've had this for nearly 2 years. I mean, that's a long enough time to review this car for me. You could take it to the track and it would hold its own. Pretty sure, you know, you'd have lots and lots of fun with it. It might struggle slightly. Well, it would struggle without the bracing kit, but you know, £300, whichever you decide to get, reference that strut brace, the front strut brace. That'll sort that issue out for you. Don't forget, it pulls phenomenally well, this engine, through the gears and everything. Like, I'd love to take this around Donington, and that would suit this car. That track would suit this car perfectly. You know, it's flowing, it's fast. So yeah, 100%. I'd get this again. I can't see anything else. I really can't see another car that would replace it. Not for me. I'm not going to go out and buy a Porsche Cayman, for instance. Just I don't get it. It's each to their own, basically. But if you're looking at this video, it's because you're interested in the M140i, and you can't go far wrong with the engine. The driving, you know, the gearbox, is, you know, the comfort of it and everything. It's definitely a keeper, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I hope this has given you a bit more of an insight into what this car is actually like. It's your preference about tuning it. If you want to if you want to flash it, then carry on. You know, that's just my preference and my advice. If you've got any other questions that you want to ask, just leave me a message below and I'll try and answer it. And take it easy and stay safe.